banks of river Irtysh. And that river was the main attraction of my childhood. I would go there for a swim, I would go there to enjoy my time with friends, and when my family was able to finally afford a dacha, if you know what it means, you can guess where it was located, just by the riverside. At 3 years old, I went to kindergarten, and as it was usual for the time, it was Russian kindergarten. After that, to the school, I also went to a Russian school, because the Kazakh school was very far away from my home. There were fewer Kazakh schools and more Russian schools at the time in St. Palatins. And after studying a couple of years, I still switched to Kazakh school and started taking those long rides on the city buses. Like you can imagine, a small child driving all the way through the city. But it was usual for that time. We didn't have chauffeurs and cars as private things at the time. So when I was studying at that school, it was quite an enjoyable time. And at one point, teachers from Kazakh Turkish high school came to that school to pitch their education system. And when I heard their speech, I was immediately hooked. I wanted to join that school, I wanted to get in, and I entered the entrance exams of that school. And somehow I passed and got accepted, and was thrilled to get into that school, but horrified at the same time, because it was a boarding school. And boarding school means that you have to leave your sweet home and start living in some other place with a bunch of strangers, people that you've never even met in your life. Little did I know that after maybe 3 or 4 years, I would call them brothers, those people, because living together is quite an unique experience. I can't explain it to you. You need to experience it for yourself. So our brotherhood was not like a fancy word. It was really a strong bond that still 20 years later still holds strong. Some of you witnessed it when we went to St. Palatins. A person who helped us around the city was one of those brothers, Didis, actually Russian. So after that I needed a university degree, and for that I went to Turkey, to an ancient city of Izmir, which is like 5,000 years old. It goes way back to the Amazon warriors. It is believed that they lived there. It was quite an enjoyable time because I was into a government-supported program. They paid us monthly scholarships, they gave us a place to live, and also they gave us a pass that was good for any kinds of public transportation. We could travel free around the city. And in Izmir, it meant that we could use the ferry boats to pass over the Izmir Gulf, which I frequently did, just for the fun of it. And while I was studying there and getting my degree, 5 years passed, and I moved around Izmir so much that by the end, I knew that city much better than any other place I lived, even my hometown. And my family at the time moved from St. Palatins to Almaty. So when I came back to Kazakhstan, I came back to the South capital and started working. It was mainly office jobs in finance, and I moved around Kazakhstan quite a lot. I went to work in Aktobe, Atrau, Astana, and came back to St. Palatins. And that Astana job I want to talk in particular about, because it started out great. The company was in the oil and gas sector. It was called British Gas. And the pay was great, the office life was great. We had regular team building exercises. After hours, we would come together and go to karaoke and bowling. But some strange feelings started starting to build inside me. A feeling of emptiness, a feeling of frustration, And gradually I realized that I started hating my job. I started hating the routine. I was forcing myself to go to work. I was forcing myself to do the reports and stuff. And the idea of just running away from it all did not sound so ridiculous anymore. And one day came when I just bought a ticket, collected my few possessions, and poof, disappeared from that city. I moved to another city, changed my cell phone number, and like disappeared for everybody. And I wanted to start my life from scratch. And I couldn't, because turns out wherever you run, whatever city you move to, you always bring the same set of problems, the same set of troubles that you run away from, because they are not connected to your environment. Most of them are connected to yourself, to your own something. And to actually change the situation, the only way to change the situation, to really change the situation, is to face the problems, to deal with your problems, and that's the only way you can do it. You can't run away from it. And when I realized it, when I was living on my own, that was the day when I stopped running from people and started running to the people. And I'm still on that run, and it led me here today to you. Thank you.